Hello, I Yogesh Sani on behalf of Startup Meet and DigiFluence Media. Welcome you all and our panelists for today series of Samvaad on challenges to incubators now and in coming years due to COVID-19. Before starting the session, I would like to tell you all that the Samvaad session is live on our YouTube channels and Facebook pages. Facebook pages startupme.in and DigiFluence Media, as well as YouTube pages. So you all can view from there and post your questions or queries on comment box. So they will reach to us, and we will ask your questions to our panelists. In coming days, we will be launching a series of sessions for entrepreneurs and startups. It will cover ideation, write up the business plan, finding the team, co-founders, finding the mentors, and so on. This is an overview what we are planning for you all. Now let's talk about today's session. I will give you a short intro of our esteemed guest panelists, and then they will share their points. So I will introduce Naresh Priyadarshi ji.
Good afternoon, Yogesh. Good afternoon, everyone.
Naresh ji, and our second panelist is Mr. Nikhil.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Welcome, Nikhil.
And
Thank you,
our
Naresh. Thank you, Yogesh
third
ji.
panelist is Hemendra Gupta ji.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Gupta ji. How are you?
I am fine.
And
Good afternoon, Hemendra.
our fourth panelist is Shadab ji. He will be joining us shortly. He is having a session somewhere else. So the moment session will over, he will join us.
Okay.
Now I will give a short info of our panelists. Hemendra ji, yes, screen. Naresh Priyadarshi ji. He is CEO of SSCBS in Innovation and Incubation Foundation, SIIF, a company promoted by Shahid Sukhdev Singh College of Business Studies, University of Delhi, under the initiative of Government of Delhi. His rich experience of 27 years span across strategy, formulation and implementation, management advisory, business development, starting the launching businesses and starting new organizations. He has held impactful roles of AFF, Deloitte, EY, American Express, Cyanate, Modi Group, Fitji, and now SIIF. He has worked with corporate leaders, owners of multi-billion dollar groups, and management gurus of global repute, including Dr. Ram Charan. He has traveled to 23 countries and was based in London since 2014 before returning to India in January 2017 to take the role of CEO of SIIF after being selected through all India level rigorous process. Naresh ji holds MBA from IIM Ahmedabad 97 batch, where he got the coveted industry scholarship for his excellent academic performance. Prior to that, he worked for 4 years in corporate after his graduation from SSCBS, Shahid Sukhdev Singh College of Business Studies in 1991. He has won many awards throughout his professional journey, including the most notable SSCBS Alumnus in 25 Years award in 2012 from hands of then Chief Minister of Delhi, Mrs. Sheila Dikshit. He is mentor to many startups and is on the board of a few reputed schools in Delhi. And today he is with us. Welcome, Naresh ji.
Thank you, Yogesh. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now, a brief intro of Alok ji. Alok ji is Chief of Operations of IIIT Innovation and Incubation Center of IIIT Delhi. Since its inception, he is one of the key stakeholders involved in the of the center. Establishment of the center. He holds 13 years of diversified experience in corporate, Wipro and Adobe systems, faculty and research of Innovation Center of Delhi University and Technology, advisory at Ministry of Agriculture. He is an SLP Fellow of F6S and DMZ Fellow of Ryerson University, Canada, and had launched his startup at DMZ, Toronto, Canada. He is instrumental in social initiative and one of his social app, Tif- Toifi, is being used in more than 90 countries. He holds an engineering degree in computer science from RGPV and a master's, say MTech from IIT Delhi. Welcome, Alok ji.
Thank you, Yogesh ji.
And Shadab ji has also joined.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Shadab.
Shadab ji. He is CEO of ANDC in Start. A short brief of Shadab ji. Shadab Mobin is a finance professional with 19 years diverse experience in renewable energy projects, banking, hospitality and consulting. He obtained his bachelor's degree in economics from University of Allahabad in 97 and went on to earn his postgraduate diploma in management with specialization in finance from Institute of Management Development and Research IMDR Pune in 2000. He has keen interest and insight into entrepreneurship development and new venture creations. Earlier, he worked as consultant for National Entrepreneurship Network NEN in Delhi, NCR region, engaging with academic institutions in promote entrepreneurship among the students. He has mentored several early stage startups. He has been an independent consultant advising companies for their fundraising requirements. Welcome, Shadab ji.
Thank you, Yogesh.
Now I introduce Hemendra Gupta ji. A short brief of Hemendra ji is Hemendra Gupta ji is a chartered accountant and company secretary by profession. He spent 20 years in corporate at various level of finance and account department, including LIC, Life Insurance Corporation of India, Dr. Morpin Limited, and Paramount Group of Companies. He is also associated with WASMI as a mentor for India chapter. So welcome to all of you panelists.
Thank you, Yogesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone.
So now I would request Naresh ji, Naresh ji to put across your points on today's discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Yogesh. I think as we have the topic today that how the current crisis of COVID is impacting the startup environment, particularly the incubators. We have been hearing in different forums that how startups are getting impacted or how funding is getting impacted or how corporates and yes, we thought of looking at specifically incubators, that how we are facing the challenge and maybe can this current crisis has any kind of set of opportunities for incubators. So we have to look at the crisis from both the perspectives. That is point one. Point two, as I think one point is that yes, a lot of startups which are working from incubators premises directly or through virtual mode, their level of work has got impacted because of the industry sectors in which they were operating. So their level of activity has gone down, but their need for mentoring from incubators has gone up. So in a way, again, it is a high volume requirement from the mentors, but the challenge which is coming out is that how do we deliver that kind of mentoring support, or how do we do the hand holding of startups and incubators in the current state. Second, the second challenge that we are facing today is that our evaluation process or our process of building pipelines of ideas, that has got a little bit shrunk. Yes, while there are many startups which are, or many people who have started thinking of ideas in healthcare domain, particularly around COVID. Now, yes, there is a volume, but how many of would they will make sense with reference to specific domain expertise of the incubator? Those incubators which are doing in health tech or which are going deeper into some kind of generic or vaccine development, of course, there it is a great opportunity, but those who are, for example, which are into say agriculture or which are into education sector or maybe into manufacturing sector, those kind of incubators may not have some kind of good pipeline building. So that means in about 6 to 12 months to 18 months, we will have to make more efforts to build our pipeline. And the overall one more thing which has come up is that recently, or like in last 3 4 months, working from home has gone up, and many of the startups are also thinking from that perspective. So that means their requirement of workspace at the incubator premises, that will go down. So that means as incubator we will have to think of new business model to keep the incubator engaged and also to keep our revenue stream healthy enough. I think these are 3 points from my perspective. I would request my fellow members on the panel to share their views. Um, Shadab or Alok.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
So,
Shadab ji.
Yeah, I mean, totally second all the points that Naresh ji has mentioned. In fact, just to elaborate on the engagement part and the mentoring requirement, suddenly I have seen a spot in that. And all the incubators who otherwise were pretty silent, working from their safe confines, are suddenly making requests for mentoring. Perhaps they are in a state of panic. That is a trigger, maybe. But one thing that I would want to point out is um, the use of technology has actually facilitated the whole thing. And For example, we used to there were cases in our incubator where some of the incubators were not physically using a space, so our very regular interaction was not possible. So we have kept a cycle of fortnightly uh, review meetings or mentoring sessions with them. But sometimes these people used to abstain for some reason because of the distances they had to travel. Some were coming from Faridabad or coming from Gurgaon, or we had a few cases where people were living outside Delhi. Now they requested that can we do it over WhatsApp or something like that. At that point of time, it didn't occur to us that we can do it this way. But now, when we were forced to use technology, just a sec, please. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So it didn't occur at that point of time that we can leverage technology, but now when we were forced to do it, we started engaging them on a very regular basis, and our interaction has gone up manyfold. That is one part. Second part, all the interaction, we have an opportunity of capturing that, recording it, and maybe comparing it as the time passes. Because earlier, when we were doing physical mentoring sessions, except for few minutes of the meeting that were exchanged, we were not able to completely capture what were the discussions around. So these two elements have clearly come out. And now coming to the problem that we have faced as an incubator, at least a couple of our incubatees were on the verge of finalizing their pre-series round, or maybe said intermediate round, with a couple of investors. Now, due to the onset of COVID, the investors have pulled away, and now we have to start our engagement afresh. Maybe go to the drawing board, because a lot of models have changed, a lot of dynamics have changed with respect to a few of the startups that we have. uh, Now the investors have pointed out that because of these circumstances, your model needs to be revamped completely. And now these entrepreneurs are going back to the drawing board, trying to figure out what and how they need to tweak in their business model. A couple of our uh, incubatees had already hired some resources, and they got into a situation where they were on the verge of defaulting on the salaries. And just before this session, I was into a session on using ESOP as a compensation and retention strategy, because they are in a situation where they cannot fire them. They are otherwise their development will stop, and they don't have the wherewithal to actually honor their commitments with respect to the salaries. So ESOP. So it was an interesting discussion we just had from 2 p.m. and. So perhaps that could be one of the opportunity which with the startups can explore to retain their employees. So difficult times are giving us very interesting options, and I'm sure entrepreneurs, they are innovative, and they will be able to take on various options that are coming their way, and manage somehow to sustain and survive. Because right now the survival is of the utmost importance.
Great.
Yeah, rightly said, Shadabji. Now, I would request Alokji. I think there was some technical issues with Shadabji's side.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah, Alokji,
what
please go ahead.
whatever Naresh and Shadab has said, it's quite valid. So both the challenge and opportunities lies together, but the challenge part is more aggressive here. So, like mentioned about the revenue streams, definitely it is affected and going to affect in longer terms. So even at IIIT, we are supported by METI, and METI has given clear instruction that you are not going to charge any incubation fees with the startups, at least this whole throughout this COVID period, and maybe extended to another 1 month. So that's some regulation. A support came from the government, support for the startups, and regulation for us. So definitely our revenue streams are impacted. And now startups are also preferring for the virtual incubation process. Definitely the seed funding, wherever they are trying to make, or any kind of angel investment or pre-series, has got affected very badly, and employees retention, other problems are occurring up for them. Another important thing which I have seen is the loss of co-innovation part. So many of the corporates used to plan that, some of their research or some of their initiatives under CSR or different projects, they outsource it to incubators to conduct some kind of long-term event. Then they support those selected people to form a startup. Many companies used to do it. Now, because of this whole impact, this part is going to affect a lot. And from IIIT's incubation side, we are very good in supporting our hardware-based startups. We have design labs, but this whole COVID situation has affected the startups. They can't use the design labs, they can't use the IoT devices, and those who are the hardware-based startups, they cannot have the items which they can procure easily from the market. So we have seen the concerns that how to get those items procured. Everything is closed. They cannot get things imported. They cannot set up their lab at their house. So these are very some of the problems I see very localized to the tech-based incubators. And again, the government is pushing more into the STEM-based and S&T-based incubators, and that's definitely going to affect other kind of incubation centers. So I mean, and this is very important challenge. We have to plan out how we can sort it out, and it's going to impact us, all the incubators, on a longer vision, longer side.
Yeah, rightly said, Alok ji. Now I would request Hemendra ji to share his thoughts.
Hello.
Yeah, Hemendra ji.
Yeah. Yeah. In our finance and accounts, when we analyze any balance sheet, we used to say that anything which is affecting 1% of the total value of balance sheet, that item is a significant item. So in that aspect also, if any event in public terms also, if any event or anything affecting the world population for more than 1%, it is significant. But here this corona, I think, has affected more than 60% of the world population in a way which is very significant to their life. It has changed the way people are living. So definitely it will impact the businesses also. And when it is impacting the business, then it will impact the startup ecosystem also. Because startup ecosystems are more into innovations and more into new ideas. This is my personal opinion, that they are more prone to find the ways much quicker than other people who are into businesses. Because due to this, many problems, even the unicorns, the bigger startups, are laying off their employees because of the cash flow problems. But simultaneously, there is opportunities also because of change in our living ways, our healthcare habits, our business habits. With a simple example, if I can say that, if we talk about the working spaces. Earlier, we used to see that in bigger cities, we used to have very small offices cluttered with people. Probably, we would not like to use all those type of the offices. Either we will work from home, or we will go for the co-working facilities wherein we can maintain that physical distance. And by the virtue of that, definitely we will need all those apps and innovations and technologies so that we can do that business. Delivery system, logistics, and all those education system wherein we are moving and doing the things physically. I think there will be a lot of scope for new technology, new innovations, and it will create demand for startups, because startups are more prone to innovation. They people are, we know that, and we can think that they can come up with a new solution, because problem is big, and where is a problem, there will be a solution, and where for finding a solution, startups will be there. So I think that there is a challenge, there is a big challenge, but with the challenge there is an opportunity also for all the startups, and they can new startups can come up, and with the solution new unicorns can come up with this corona crisis. This is my opinion.
Yogesh, your views? Anything
Yeah,
you would like to say?
yeah. So, sir, I am here to moderate the session, and and
Oh,
the viewers would like to hear you all rather than me, sir. My question to you is, it's like, how do you think that some of the international incubators are responding to this crisis of this COVID-19, or say pandemic crisis?
this is for me.
Yeah, sir. Naresh, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Yogesh. See, I was generally interacting with a couple of my friends in different locations in UK and US. The first thing that they are facing is like they're not in both these locations. They were not very clear on the social distancing norms or the lockdown situations and all. So fortunately, we had a relatively better clarity on that. Okay, whether it is there or not there. So they were finding it very difficult to manage the situations where they were requesting some of the incubatees to maintain some kind of distancing and all that, or to do the preventive steps. So they had to really force it down to put it on paper and as part of their operating norms. But yes, fortunately, in this community, the level of sense was high. They have been obeying the rules. So one challenge at the operating level, they had to really educate the incubators to stick to certain guidelines on usage of facility, and then they had to find out, uh, because there the rules are a bit different in terms of hiring and then, charging of the fees and all that. So they had to forego a significant amount of revenue, which is gone, because a lot of incubators are working from home after the situations have worsened. So revenue is a big challenge. But now what they are doing is they are partnering with the bigger firms like Google or IBM or Microsoft, and offering those platforms as some kind of add-ons to incubators, so that the loyalty is there. So uh, two of the incubation centers I spoke to, their primary focus has been the loyalty, retaining the incubator. So even if it is on the cost of current revenue, they don't want to lose out incubator from the community, from their community. So they are very particular on continuity of the community and continuity of the startup. And yes, there has been change in the portfolio of startups. There have been a good in stream of new ideas coming up, which they have been very rapidly covering up. So I think they are quickly converting the crisis into opportunity, but they are ready to face the financial challenge, financial losses. Sorry, back to you, Yogesh.
Uh, so I would
I
like to
actually,
add,
I think,
sure.
yeah,
I would like
yeah.
to add
Please
some
go
more
ahead.
points. Yeah. So some of these incubation centers across India, they work on a little different model, kind of offering startups a incubation for a free for a period of 6 months or 8 months like that. And so, like in India, we have academic incubator, state-supported incubator, and private incubators. So most of the incubators in outside India, I'm talking about Canada.
Right.
So they have government-supported incubators in whatever case. Like even in the academic system, if there's an incubator, government funds them. So these incubators, they provide free incubation for a period of 6 to 8 months, and post that they start charging them some money, because the money is coming from the government and the stakes goes to the government, whatever equities come. So like that, they are trying to mitigate this risk, this loss, by extending that free period of incubation and allowing not to give those stakes or whatever manner they are earlier charging them. So this is one way they are just trying to do. And some incubators in France, they used to give funding as a part of incubation. So you have to incubate and you have to take the funds. Now they are trying to make the things easier, that if you want to use incubation, you don't need to get the funds. So the selection criteria has been very much simplified, and obviously the people have minimized their visits to those incubation centers, but they are just trying to make the things very simpler for them. Those, though they are not operating at the 100% capacity, not all the incubation managers are there, but at least one person from their management team is there to assist if some startups come in. They're still operating, but in the losses. So this is going to definitely affect their planning, and we may have to learn some parts from them. Precisely in our case, in India, we are not easily going to get a large number of incubators because of this new habit of work from home. So we may have to learn to bear that loss. We have to be self-capable. Now, again, one way is to this revenue, which is definitely impacted. Second part is the grants that we can anticipate to come from the government. But due to this all kind of losses, many of these grants which are scheduled to be given is already on hold, and most of the new grants coming up is again related to the COVID situation. So I would say they are both sides. If we can learn one part also, but we don't have capability to implement that learning because of these finances involved. So I think we have to take both the angles in that side. Yes.
Uh, Shadab ji,
Yeah, in fact, Alok has absolutely echoed whatever I wanted to say. Just wanted to add, the problem with the private incubators will be much acute as compared to the government incubators. Because our revenue model was actually not much on the usage bit, like Alok has explained. And perhaps globally, whatever government funded incubator, their business model has also been similar, whether it is Canada or elsewhere. but I wish we could have had one private incubator represented here, and they would have shared their experience as to how severely they are impacted because of this. Because I know a couple of private incubators where their business model was absolutely based on the usage, and then they were looking at these startups who are working from their premises as a pipeline for investments. So an incubator or a co-working space coupled with an accelerator program. So 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 a lot of stress is going to be there. Uh, yes, again, adding my words to what Alok just mentioned with respect to grants, almost all the grants will now be very critically examined because the priority for all the governments, state governments, is battling COVID. But I would want, and I've been discussing this with Naresh ji also, that battling COVID at one front is absolutely most essential. But whatever we have gained so far with the incubation policies and whatever intervention has happened in this sphere will all be squandered if there is any laxity on the side of the government. So if at all our voices are being heard by the policymakers, I would want to urge them that this is of equal importance, if not more, because we have created babies. These startups are babies, and drawing the analogy of a hospital, we were the incubators, and if we are going to let them die, it will be very unfortunate. So perhaps my voice reaches the right place, and this is about the grant and the revenue stream. We are not much worried about the revenue stream getting hampered because of non-usage of a facility, but rather than the drying up of the grants.
Yeah. Because as incubators, we are incubating the startups which are creating jobs. So it is essential that this particular activity is nurtured by the government. Otherwise, the roots will get dried up and it will have a multiplier effect.
So, I mean, the funds are involved now. Hemendra ji, your points.
Yeah. It's actually incubation is a very long-term business, and rather it is not a business. We are creating an ecosystem for startups. And if this particular thing, because right now startup ecosystem is started crawling in India with almost 50,000 plus startups registered, maybe 30 plus are unicorns. So if we stop the supports at this junctures, so it will be very difficult and it will be very killing, because right now almost 50 startups are in line to become next unicorns in line of list of unicorns from India. So this is very important, because these small funds are creating ecosystems, they are creating employment, and moreover, this is creating an innovation culture and entrepreneurship culture in India, which is lacking. So if we stop it, the whole lot of the targets of becoming a 5 trillion economy and having a inclusive growth will vanish, because only the MSME and startup ecosystem is a system which can create a balanced growth in the country and provide employment. No other things, because of the innovations and automations, other jobs in other areas will be lesser. So this sector has to be grown, and for that government has to come up and promote that incubation, which is feeling a bit upset because of all this corona things and stoppage of services, and expectation that there will be lack of resources in this particular area. So I think we should combine our, as Shadab told, that let's our voice be heard by the policymakers. We should make a louder voice so that it can be heard by the policymakers, and these things will be, I think we need to put more focus on into that area, so that, because there is an opportunity of new innovations, so we can support more startups into and more solutions can be supported, and new startups can be emerge out of this crisis. That I think that we should put more focus into this incubation area. Over
So
to
now,
Yogesh ji.
yeah. So now, I hope you all would be getting queries for the startups would be calling you up for the development of uh, solutions for this COVID crisis thing. So you all would be getting queries, or say students or entrepreneurs, those budding entrepreneurs would be calling you all, or you the question would be like this: that what kind of opportunities are emerging for incubators from this crisis? This question is for all. I mean, Naresh ji can start.
See, I will say very briefly, incubators are enablers, frankly. अगर आइडियाज आ रहे हैं, स्टार्टअप्स अगर नए आ रहे हैं, we will be able to support them, guide them. We are catalysts. So finally, that is the only opportunity I would say as incubator. And of course, once we fund them, we will have investment in them, and that investment will have some appreciation opportunity. I think that is what I would like to say. Of course, and then the coupled effect being there would be some visibility that such and such startup under such incubator launched this kind of product. I think these are some short-term and long-term immediate opportunities that I would suggest indicate for the incubator.
Yeah,
So,
Mr. Alok.
I would add further here, like startups are calling regularly, and how we can help them in various ways. So the one way could be, make them activate them uh, in a better way. So, for example, whatever their offerings are, if we use our platform or the various platform available within our vicinity, we'll try to use them, or maybe help them more aggressively in connecting with the right customers or the right users who can help them either buying their products or services, or maybe help them in any other way. So I'll quote some example that many of our students who were earlier planned to join a company, now because of this whole COVID, one part is that they're joining a delayed, other part is the ongoing projects. They created a product, they approached us, we connected them to the government, so that now they have a company within this period and they are going to pitch it to the government, and hopefully government is going to buy. So we are trying to make it a healthy system, so that how we can kind of minimize the impact on them. So like Naresh said, that we are enablers, and Shadab quoted correctly that we have to help those babies. We're just trying to make sure how we can help them in whatever possible way. Yeah.
Yeah, Shadab ji, your
On the opportunity side, now we are getting more. So we essentially were not a hardcore tech-based incubator, so to say, because we are in a college which is essentially a science college and a commerce faculty. We are, and especially we are an undergrad college. So most of the proposals that were coming from within the student community were not very high on tech so far. But then we started taking application from outside, and we got a lot of AI/ML based solutions. But now, because of COVID, most of the proposals or the discussions that we are having with startups who are calling up are highly tech driven. We are getting proposals on telemedicine. So these new areas are emerging, and that's where the real opportunities are. And perhaps they have better understanding of the problem that they are trying to solve. Because earlier, what was happening, not to undermine the entrepreneurial pursuit of the students, but at some point of time, even this had become more of a herd mentality, that everyone was trying to do something on startup, let's do. But now more serious players are coming who understand the subject, and those who understand technology and how these two, the problem and the technology, combining to deliver a very viable solution. So perhaps this churning is going to throw out much better proposals at us, and it is for us to take it up and nurture them, and make the next big thing, so far as these very specialized domains of med tech or pharma, and things like that. So from generic, we are moving to more very focused tech-based proposals coming our way.
And yeah, in fact, like earlier, there was a mix of startups, those who are very serious, less serious kind of behavior. Now, more serious startups are coming up, and this COVID situation has created them a good scenario that how they are able to manage that part, and coming up in an intensive way. Yes, from the incubator side, we are trying our best to help them out, but from their end also, those who are actually into this thing are coming up. So that's why we have to leverage all the other things. We have to talk to the government on their behalf. Government and many of the legend investors, founders, they are also creating some of their funds. Companies are releasing CSR, though limited now, but still we have to explore them via directly from the incubator side, or startups at times they identify, they come back to us, and then we can explore them.
Yeah, the incubation centers were looking for startups. So this Atmanirbhar Bharat would say work as a catalyst to startups to come and to incubation centers. Will I will this work?
So the focus of Atmanirbhar, to the extent I've understood it, targeted more toward the MSMEs. To decrease the dependence of the value chain, which currently is more tilted towards China. For example, whether it's a mobile industry or LED lamps industry, at least 70% or 75% of the components are coming from China or elsewhere, Vietnam and other places. So the focus of Atmanirbhar is more, and Hemendra will bear me out on that. Most of the MSMEs now are being pushed into a situation that they have to actually create those capabilities within India. And for the startups, honestly, personally speaking, they were already Atmanirbhar. Anyone who was trying to create a venture in a very tough and competitive environment like India, they were already Atmanirbhar. So perhaps the expectation from incubators or the startups on that aspect was limited. It is more towards the MSMEs. So we should stop. We should reduce the dependency of our value chain when it comes to heavy industries or FMCG, not FMCG, white good industry or mobile and stuff like that, so that we have more capability within.
See, Yogesh, maybe
Yes.
from the Atmanirbhar perspective, we can say that going forward, when we are uh, using different criteria for selecting the startups, this could become one of the parameters that, okay, will it help any part of the Indian economy? I'm not saying very large, but even if it is a small extent, that will help to make any part of the society or the economy or any part of the value chain of any industry sector to become more self-reliant. We will be able to take a better decision, like we can able to take decisions accordingly, including this as one of the parameters. That yes, as of now, we have been looking that whether it will look at social impact or whether it has scalability, business potential, and all those things. This could become one more parameter to look at.
Alokji, would you like to
Yeah.
add some? Yeah.
So I think most of the points have been covered by Shadab and Naresh. That it's a good idea to identify how it's going to help. And in fact, there are several schemes for MSME and run by DC MSME department. So how we can leverage them based on their help. I mean, it should not be localized, and this MSME certifications these startups should take, and they can leverage these benefits. So all these points we have to come together.
Hemendra, would you
Yeah,
like
because
to? Yes.
I would like to add here that any startup which has not crossed the investment limit into plant and machinery as per the definition of MSME is a MSME also. So to the extent they can use the benefits given by Government of India to those MSME, they also can come up and take advantage of all those schemes related to funding, related to scientific research, related to marketing, or taking. Oh, there are a lot of schemes wherein the startup also can take the registration into MSME and take advantage of that. One more thing that with the passage of time, I think now the Indian startup ecosystem is maturing a bit. more serious players are coming into picture. Like earlier, there are some people that they are chasing an idea. They say that we are a startup, but now it is not a situation. More serious players with a more number of hours working towards their passion, and the more tangible work is visible in this startup ecosystem. And maybe with the passage of time and with more support from the government and the society and the business world, because innovations are coming and they are changing the shape of the businesses also. So that the bigger companies also has a responsibility to nurture this startup ecosystem, so that they can take some bigger ideas for their bigger business ventures of futures from the startup ecosystem. So I look forward for the bigger companies. Like, I know that some of the bigger entrepreneurs of India are supporting startup ecosystems. We have seen some examples of investment from Ratan Tata and other big players, but it has to come in a more number now, because startups are coming and they are now lacking the resources. So now resources should be added in terms of maybe more facilities of incubations, or more accelerated facilities are concerned. So these things are lacking in India, and we need some more resources. Focused way should come to this ecosystem for development of this ecosystem to the next level. Yogesh ji.
Yeah. Uh, like as like a incubator's perspective, what is the level of student engagement now and how it is expected to go in future for incubator perspective? Naresh ji?
Hmm. See, as I think Shadab also mentioned that how the portfolio of ideas which are coming up now. So both in terms of quality and quantity, the thing is changing. The quantity is going up, uh, but with more focus towards COVID. I think that is where the student community can think longer. As of now, they are looking at finding something around sanitizer, something around, say, vaccine development in case of the health. So they are looking at immediate kind of handling immediate problems. But I think uh, they should be looking at something like how the life will be anywhere between 12 to 24 months from now. How do you really ensure there is social distancing? How do you ensure there is some kind of alert system if the health deteriorates for somebody in the family? So those kind of things that we are now living in a AC after COVID, I would say. There is a BC and there is a AC. जैसे वो पहले होता था. Now the definition has changed. So I think that is where the students should be looking at. And again, the role of incubator to send the message to keep the engagement on. And so I think that is what I would say from the students' perspective.
Yeah, Alok ji?
So I'll say that the incubator's role is right from the activating, sensitizing, and engaging before incubation part. So whatever percentage of these things were coming out from an incubator to an academic system or maybe outside uh, uh, ecosystem. So this part has to be engaged more in the academic system, at least within our academic, promoted organization or nearby academic organization, so as to ensure that this motivation of startup or their idea will get a proper highlight. Obviously, this COVID has created a thought that everything within this COVID situation is going to be a solution for anything, like be it a mask, be it a sanitizer, be it a ventilator machine, etc. But these are the localized solutions which people are creating. Now we have to handhold them. Okay, if you are creating something like this or thinking something like this in the mind, these things can be extended in a longer time with different use cases. For that situations, we have to have a very strong mentorship panel. We have to handhold them very strongly, very aggressively. I would use the word. They still have some belief in the this incubator because of all these situations. Everything is kind of impacted. They have the belief. They always come back, and we have to more proactive in handholding them. So I think the role of incubator in academic system is very critical now.
Yeah, Shadabji, your uh, inputs. Yeah.
So the role that the incubator is playing, the way we have been trying to handle the situation, because at least a couple of incubators that we had, their entire business model has gone for a toss. So they required a lot of hand holding. One of the incubator was actually trying to build up a platform which enabled people of the like-minded interest. For example, I'm interested in entrepreneurship, and somebody else is interested in entrepreneurship, and we are in a common vicinity. For example, 500 meters, 1 kilometers, and that platform would enable these two people to identify each other, to discover each other, and to get a chance to first virtually interact and then meet in person. Now, this meet in person things is gone for at least 1.5 years. That's how I look at it. So we got into a lot of brainstorming, and we got a couple of mentors to sit with them, talk to them, and then we came up with a solution that why don't you build in a video conferencing arrangement into that. And now they are trying to build up a platform similar plus a step ahead to what Zoom is doing or AirMeet is doing, wherein people are discovering each other and meeting virtually, but in a environment where they both can see each other. So I don't know how things will work out for them, but at least this was an example I wanted to quote, because their entire model of meeting physically has been put on a question mark. Similarly, another venture that we have, they were coming up with a payment solution, and initially the focus was on a prepaid card enabled payment situation. And somehow in between, based on the feedback that they got, they started believing that that with the advent of UPI and similar other products, the card is becoming obsolete slowly. And uh, and then they started working. This is pre-COVID, I'm telling you. And then they started thinking that why don't we build we create a system where the card is out of the focus, and we try to do something wherein an automatic payment situation happens. And this was actually a parking transaction that I'm talking about. But with COVID, what happened? Suddenly, the focus came back on cards, because, and especially the touch cards, the NFC cards, NFC cards. So now everyone is talking about a situation where you don't have to take out your mobile phone, just a card which can be used without even touching or getting into the slot of the POS system, and from a distance, from say about 1 centimeter distance, this NFC card can be read. So again, their focus has come back to the card. So these kind of churning is happening, and we as incubators, we are trying to bring experts from the industry and helping them out, fine tune whatever disruption this COVID has created for them. We are trying them to come back on track. So that's what we can do, and we are trying to do.
So these, I mean, these kind of situations would be with the Naresh sir also, and Alokji, with you also.
Sure.
Like there would be some startups, those who were working on such kind of things. Those will be involved the people interaction. But now that interaction is like social distance. You have to maintain the social distancing. So they would be facing challenge.
Yes. So one
Yeah,
of the
Alokji.
company, I'll just add, one of the company, they are using AI based platform to match the interest of the people and plan the tours. Now this has affected because they are not going to get tours very easily, and the group of people coming together. So this is one of the interesting example I see, use of traditional system of tour business, adding the intelligence component, but now their market is impacted. So, uh, so these kind of other cases do exist, and let's see how it works out, because they have to pivot their product now.
So in our case, there is no such startup which is requiring or which can do any alteration with reference to the social distancing issues or the touch issues. But yes, there are almost every startup, their business operations got impacted because of either the industry they were working in or the markets they were working. Like, for example, one startup is into the physical supply of collecting the agricultural waste from the farm and making it reach the biofuel production plant. So they would engage with the third party to get the huge machines on the site. And once the machines move, they have to be there till the entire season is over. So you can't just take it in the morning, get it in the evening. They are stationed there. They're the huge machines. Then there is a entire labor community which works on that site on daily basis. So while the payouts to contract labor is daily, the payout to machines was on weekly basis, but the remittance from end customer, the biofuel, was on monthly basis. So there was this, but they had managed the cycle in terms of the overall when order got started. But because of this COVID, the bio the funding, the money that was coming to the biofuel plant from the government on the consumption, that got delayed. The contract labor got moved out because they could not be present on the site. The machines could not be operated upon, so they had no option, but they had to stall the project. There's another one which was around Woo Coupons, which was working along with companies like Amazon or Jabong or Flipkart and riding on their orders. But since those orders or those kind of markets or the business segment was stalled by the government, only the essentials to be supplied and non-essential was put on hold. They were put on hold. They could not do any transaction. So, but yes, we could look at using that time either for skilling, upskilling, or to mitigate the orders. So we had to engage last almost like 3 months or 2 months have been extremely high in terms of working with the startups and their business partners. So last 60 days I've been working along with the startups as well as their business partners. So I think that is where we had to manage the situation. That was our impact on us.
So, if we talk about technology, technology is playing a major role. So, Alokji, a question for you is how the incubators help in developing the and producing innovative products for coming phase of post-COVID. For example, if your incubatee or say students at IIT, IIIT Delhi comes up with an idea and develop a prototype, how can you help him to get initial batches of production? Considering
So
this situation.
right. So we have actually prepared a high-end infrastructure-based lab, and we do have some labs already available in our system, different technology-based dedicated labs. And yes, like you mentioned, we recently had one case wherein a student came up with a prototype. Now, those items he had in his house, and somehow he built that prototype. Now, how to scale it? That's a big problem, big challenge for us. But at least we started with that prototype, and we tried to make sure that he is able to visit the design lab. At least he can start making an viable product with the available resources there. And meanwhile, we also, whatever prototype he has prepared, we have connected him to the, like mentioned earlier, that with the government department, there is where he is already pitching his product to the Delhi government. So this is the one way to connect them to the right authority. Second is the provision of technology infrastructure, which is already available. And over the time, once we resume, we have plans in mind that if some small, specific items which we don't have in labs, we'll try to make sure we with our vendors to supply it in time. Though we have all the stocks already up, not because of this COVID, but whenever we develop the labs, we always try to ensure all the fuels, all the machine, everything is up and running. So once the system resumes, if something is very critical, we'll make sure with our vendors to bring them back. But we have other labs dedicatedly available. So it's not going to be tough, at least for us at this stage. So we're happy we were prepared throughout for this kind of unforeseen, I would say, situation.
Yeah, Naresh sir, would
Hmm.
you like to add some?
No, I think
Acha.
I shared my.
So my question is now to Hemendra ji.
Yeah.
Hemendra ji,
Yes,
what
sir.
are the chances? What are the chances expected in investment scenario?
Investment, I think investors will be a bit more cautious now. They will take a longer look. Their due diligence will be much tough now. And some of the investors, maybe they would like to defer their deals. Maybe they can cancel their businesses. They can right now there must be some of the deals which are in pipeline or maybe on the finalized stage when we started this lockdown things. So maybe that some of the deals which are even finalized will have to be relooked because of the change in the business scenario. And way forward, maybe the questions investors are asking to the promoters will be a bit more lengthy questions and more tougher questions. Maybe in short, if I say that the investment scenario will be a bit more tough for promoters and for startups. They will have to struggle a bit more for getting the investment. On the other hand, the startups which has come into innovation, some unique idea after this COVID crisis, and they are bringing some solution of that COVID problems. Their chances of investment will be much more brighter because they will get it. Because I told you that more than 60% of the population of the world is affected by the COVID, and any solution which is coming into this area will be having a large chunk of customers for that, and so that the investors would also like to come into that area which is giving a solution to the corona issue. So investment the situation will be a bit more tough for startup ecosystems now.
See, very rightly said by Gupta ji that now as an investor, I will be looking at any project with many more lenses. Biggest situation being risk being कि ये पैसा वापस आएगा कि नहीं आएगा. As an investor also, I used to think from that perspective, but now yes, I will be more cautious क्योंकि customer segments are drying up और या उनको दोबारा निकालना मुश्किल है, मार्केटिंग करना मुश्किल है, कहीं पे जो फिजिकल एफर्ट्स हो रहे थे वो मुश्किल हैं, कहीं पे अगर स्टाफिंग के या जैसे जो जो पॉपुलेशन की रीलोकेशंस हुई हैं कहीं पे उन तरह की पॉपुलेशन की एक्टिविटी इन्वॉल्व थी स्टार्टअप के एग्जीक्यूशन में. देयर आर many factors which are impacting the overall working or the conceptualization, maybe whatever be the stage of startup, कहीं ना कहीं पे impact है. But एक और जो मैं सोचता हूँ as an investor I will be looking at the startup is that what is going to be the strength of team now. क्योंकि as a startup मैं 5-6 जने में इकट्ठे बैठते थे, काम करते थे. अब वो एक जो इकट्ठे बैठ के काम करने की सिचुएशन बहुत कम रह गई है, एटलीस्ट फॉर ए वाइल. तो उस स्टार्टअप की इफेक्टिवनेस कितनी रहेगी, मैं इस लेंस से भी उसको देखूंगा कि हाउ टीम इज नाउ प्रिपेयरिंग टू मैनेज द सिचुएशन एंड नॉट कॉम्प्रोमाइजिंग ऑन द इफेक्टिवनेस while maintaining the other norms of working, whether technology or working from home or whatever. So I will continue looking at the preparedness of the team in maintaining their productivity and effectiveness and their milestones to whatever extent possible. I think there is a question from some Sunny that if you will see on the live comments.
Yeah. Yes.
That's quite interesting, actually.
So I will. Yeah, it's it's coming on screen. Yeah, it's coming on screen.
Yeah.
It's unclear how many of the digitization efforts of the last few weeks will remain after the COVID-19 lockdown start to clear. It's unclear how many products being worked out by startups will be deemed superfluous or unnecessary. Will health tech, despite its long lead times, robust testing and delays to deployment, lead the pack?
So I think इनके क्वेश्चन two part में divide कर सकते हैं. पहला जो है, which is like sub question 1 and sub question 2, that whether
yes.
कि जो भी डिजिटाइजेशन एफर्ट हैं या जो प्रोडक्ट बने ये जब ये पूरा तूफान थम जाएगा, ये चलेंगे कि नहीं? I think that is what he's asking. So I think जो digitization की बात है, it is more like a behavior. अगर हमें आदत अब पड़ गई है या इस चीज को हम मेंटेन कर सकते हैं, I think definitely it is going to sustain. टेक्नोलॉजी तो अब रहेगी, उसकी यूसेज हम कितनी करेंगे, it is again I think human behavior. तो अगर हम अपनी हैबिट्स को कंटिन्यू करेंगे and will ensure that we use technology for digitization, for data change, or whatever implementation of startup, that is up to us. Products being worked out, I think this is a typical product life cycle. किसी ने अगर क्विकली उसको लेवरेज करके अगर कुछ एक अच्छी मार्केट अपॉर्चुनिटी क्रिएट कर ली, और अगर उसके बाद वो प्रोडक्ट अगर डाई आउट भी हो जाता है, आई थिंक इट इज टिपिकल, इट विल डिपेंड ऑन द यूटिलिटी ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट. अब उसका वर्जन 2 निकाल के उसको कितना एक्सटेंड करता है उसके एस कर्व को, इट इज अप टू अगेन ऑन द इनोवेटर कि हाउ टू मेक द उसको रिडंडेंट नहीं होना, सुपरफ्लोज नहीं होने देना. So that is my input on response to these two questions. Alok, Shadab ji.
Yeah, perhaps what Naresh ji was just a little while ago talking about how an investor is going to look at startups. So what Sunny is trying to say is that raising a question mark there, and these are the questions which investor is going to also ask. And yes, digitization is going to be ubiquitous and is going to stay. But if a solution is being worked out specific to COVID, then perhaps it will have a very limited utility post-COVID. But that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. How do you pivot, or how do you design your solution in such a way that once this calamity goes away, your product still stays relevant?
और मेरा छोटा टर्म था, उसमें निकाल के मैंने बिजनेस बना लिया उसको. सी एंटरप्रेन्योर में उसको इकोनॉमिक रिटर्न निकालना था, मैंने निकाल लिया उसको.
If you cash out, you make good money, and you depending on the capital that you have accumulated, you go on to make a bigger and a different business. Absolutely fine. The second part, what he was saying with respect to health tech. Yes, health tech, yes. lot of because specifically to Indian context, health has been one neglected area. Yeah. So that is the reason why health tech is going to lead the pack so far as innovation, attracting capital, and getting the market is concerned. And most of the innovation are going to happen there. I'm not very hopeful whether India is going to be very high on vaccine discovery, but certainly other products. For example, testing kits. For example, localized ventilator systems. So these things will be indigenized, and there is huge opportunity there. You never know. Serum Institute Pune is working with Oxford, and we may have a situation where an Indian company can take a lead in the virus discovery also. So yes, to answer Sunny's question, medtech and health is going to be taking the lead.
Alok ji, your say?
Yeah, so I agree with Shadab and Naresh on that side. See, startup cannot be expected to go smoothly. There are cycles. So whatever is the scenario, obviously when something is started, there is some value proposition based on that it is started. Now this unforeseen situation has definitely impacted some of them, or I would say a larger side. But still, either the one way is to pivot it and capture the opportunity which is available, or the cash out. So pivoting is not a tough, because they are entrepreneurs. They have already taken the risk and followed this path and leading this whole journey. So if we just start thinking, okay, how this product is going to work out, I mean, that's not a good solution. Rather, just see how we can leverage the above available resources at this time. And if it requires, you have to pivot. Most of the cases, you have to pivot. So that's the judgment, and that's the point where I would say, you need some good mentors to help you out with that part. Now, from the investor side, definitely as an investor or any investor would try to, make good money or good outcome out of his investment. So there are investments coming down, but definitely they have to invest. They have the money, they have to invest, and they are just trying to look into specific domains of health tech and medtech, and that's how this medtech domain is going to get more value. And one of the common reasons that we know because of this issues. But again, there are those medtech domains are not going to work independently. There are many other domains which are connected with them. I mean, any medical services or devices or virus discovery or anything else within that part, they are also dependent on many, uh, uh, I would say, blocks around them. Now, these blocks are the potential areas where we can identify, okay, these are the opportunities. How we create that so that these medtech startups can be correlated, or maybe they can leverage that benefit. So these things we should try to identify and explore. And again, like I said, this COVID was one situation. Now we see a problem in the West Bengal and Odisha. That's a very different problem, not related to COVID, but this is something we almost hear it every year. Now, can we build some solutions around it? Obviously, one medtech or health tech based some predictive analysis can be done, but there are other scope that can be built around that problem. So I think in both the cases, it's going to be very stabilized. Some will take, less time. Some will take a little larger time, but this is going to be in a cycle format.
I would like to add something here. As Sunny told about the product will stay. I think that this was a sudden attack. Corona attacked, and the human race find on wrong foot. So we have developed, so many startup has developed some emergency product to take care of that. Some different type of automated hand sanitizer stands are coming. Some other products are coming. Some ventilator, very fastly innovated ventilator has come up. So I would say that maybe that now those all products will be made in a better way, better innovation, better facilities, but the concept will remain same. On the same concept, some better product will come up, which will be properly, studied, and some scientific support will be available, and we will see that all those products which are serving to the people now will come up in a better way, for sure, because people medical habits, some expenditure on medical will be more. We will be a more better cleanly loving society now. It is my opinion that we will be we will be living our lives in a better way. Maybe we will be maintaining some more distances now. So all product related to all those services will come up, and they will remain now. They will not vanish out of 1 or 2 months, but these will be regular part of our living, so that they will come up in a better way, better usage, better technology, better material, and they will remain. This is my opinion.
Yeah. Now, I mean, since three are incubation centers owners, I would say, and one is chartered accountant who is associated with incubation center. So my question is, like, this would be the last question, and with this answer of this question, you can put your closing remarks also. So what kind of opportunities are emerging for incubators from this scenario, current scenario? So we'd start with
Gupta ji. Now
yeah,
reverse
Gupta ji. Yes. Now Gupta ji.
I would not say that it is an opportunity. I am of the opinion that incubator is a very long term preposition. I would not call it a business also. It is a preposition. Incubators are a very important part for this startup ecosystem. This is my opinion. So its role is very important. The major role of an incubator I perceive as that they have to channelize the energy of these young startups. They are full of energy, they have enough energy, they have enough gyan, they have everything. Real need is that we need to channelize their energy. Wherever the channel energy is lacking, we have to transfer some of our energy to them, so that they can come up with that negative situation they are temporarily in. And sometimes whatever they are seeing, because visualization is a major role of a visionary or a startup entrepreneur. So whatever they are trying to and able to see as a vision or as a future, if we see that there is some difference or some weaknesses or some problem in his vision. So sometimes, if we directly say that it is wrong, it is not being perceived as a correct, and they can be negative. So we have to channelize his efforts so that he can see the correct picture. So I think that role of an incubator is as a guide, as a mentor, so that the startup entrepreneur can reach to a situation wherein his own the objective is fulfilled. So there is an opportunity because new serious players are coming to this foray. So role is a bigger role because now we have to channelize more people. Now we have to take along, we have to handhold more serious people. They are full of ideas, full of energy. So we have to match their energy and efforts so that we can reach more people into maybe that the target of a startup is to reach a unicorn situation. We have to reach them there. Plus we have to give them a more, I think, purpose of their startup of a business. If any startup is doing a startup or business to earn a money, I think this is a very small objective. We have to make him identify that what is a bigger objective behind his startup. Then I think he can be following that startup or passion with more vigor, and he will be more doing more efforts for finding out that particular objective. I think we have to create a value out of that startup, and we have to give them a purpose of that startup. This is a major role of incubator which I can perceive. This is my closing remark. Thank you very much.
Shadab ji.
Yes, sir. So yes, first I will take the challenges. The challenge would be that, and it is coupling with the opportunity as well. The opportunity is that now we'll be getting very serious uh, proposals, very driven people coming our way, and therefore the challenge would be on the incubators to deliver in a much better manner. So the challenge will be on performance. So the demand from the incubators will be much deeper level of engagement, whether it is mentoring, whether dependency on lab. For instance, triple IT proposals will come where they would be looking at utilizing their lab facilities much more as compared to a pre-COVID scenario. So that's where I see the challenge coming. Apart from the challenges that we have discussed already with respect to the revenue stream and the grant and the other things, the bigger challenge, and in the positive way, the challenge that would be coming towards the incubators would be more demanding and more challenging roles being demanded by the incubators for us, and therefore the opportunity for us as well.
Yeah, Alok ji.
So, apart from the points mentioned by Hemendra Gupta ji and Shadab ji, I'll just add. Um, in the beginning, I mentioned there are losses happening on the part of co-innovation or corporate innovation because companies are also laying off their employees. But again, the R&D opportunities or the problems that they are trying to solve, we have to be very strong in that part, and we have to leverage that part by reaching out to them. So this is something we have to do aggressively. Apart from that, the three major roles of the incubation, of the activation, sensitization, and engagement. So this sensitization has to be given more priority. So either to tap the energy of the students, or to tap the energy of the faculty, or tap anybody outside across our institution. So these things have to be taken very aggressively, and definitely once you do the things in a way, it definitely creates a motivation from for the different these stakeholders, the beneficiaries who are going to get. So I think the impact is very much clear. The revenue, the way we have to sustain, the grants which are going to affect, the funding for the startups, and alternatively, we have to explore how we can help them by at least connecting them to the right customer, right audience, either nationally or the internationally. We can create some associations outside India if we are able to do, and see how we can leverage their part. Recently, I'll quote one example. Germany has started some association model for the India and the Germany. So we're trying to explore that and trying to settle up that. Japan has started something. They have an organization, some connect with IIT Bangalore. We're trying to leverage that connect and trying to set up some kind of model with Japan. Korea used to do something in the IoT. We have already connected them. So these are the international bodies who have something to offer. So as an incubator, we all have to unite and identify these opportunities and leverage them. Government has many problems that they list out in different their portfolios, like on Invest India, on Startup India, and many other or this thing websites. They list them out. So maybe we have to tap them and motivate our startups or the existing startups or potential startups. These things they have to leverage. So these engagement sensitization part has to be much stronger than the way it was, and obviously managing the operational challenges. So the efforts from the incubation center has definitely increased and has to be increased. Uh, so with this, I'll only say a message to all the startups that we are here and we are here to help them out to whatever best we can do and keep on performing better than that best. And we are more concerned for their growth and development. So with this, I'll just pass the mic to Naresh.
Yeah,
This
Naresh ji,
virtual
please.
mic, this virtual mic.
Thank you. I'm taking it. Okay. So thank you very much. I think everyone has really hit the right point and very complementary kind of points. I think I will come from the perspective of incubator, that how as an incubator or accelerator we have been different from the typical co-working spaces. The difference we have been making is through the mentoring and the community. बाकी सब तो होता ही है, आपके पास स्पेस भी है, फंडिंग भी है, पर why we have been different, that we have been able to build a community of young energetic startups. और अगर ये स्पाइरल इफेक्ट हुआ कि वर्क फ्रॉम होम है या अब मेरे को रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है या मेरा प्रोजेक्ट abundant है and all that, so in a way I will be reducing the size of my community in the incubator setup, and simultaneously my capacity utilization is going to be lower. So these are two big challenges. How do I engage that? So important factor being that how do I retain my existing incubatees, how do I get new incubatees, and simultaneously how do I collaborate with other incubators to do the filling in necessarily, either in terms of some subject matter expertise, some capability, or infrastructure availability. So I think that collaboration would be the way out, and that is where the investors would see the strength, that we will not let our startups fail. And I think that is the confidence through which we'll be able to bring in the investors. तो अगर मेरी कैपेसिटी ठीक है, अगर मेरा कम्युनिटी ठीक है, इन्वेस्टर्स ठीक है, तो शायद गवर्नमेंट को लगेगा चलो थोड़ा फंड दे देते हैं, तो आई थिंक दैट वे मेरा वो भी गैप थोड़ा फिल इन हो जाएगा. दैट इज द व्यू आई हैव. So thank you so much, Yogesh. Thanks everyone.
So basically, conclusion is like all have said that incubators are there for startups or say incubatees, always for them, ready to support them, and will not get you all to fail. So the crux is this. So apart, like हम यहाँ से आगे बढ़ेंगे और then I would say I would thank Naresh ji for helping me to organize this today's Samvaad. He connected he connected with Alok ji and Shadab ji and Hemendra ji. So thank you Naresh ji, and thank you Hemendra ji for coming. Thank you Shadab ji for coming, and thank you Alok ji for coming. In coming days, we would
Thank you all. Thank you.
we would be coming up for we would be coming with live sessions and workshops for startups and incubators with the support of you all. So
Sure.
maybe the few points which we could which we could put in workshops or say in coming sessions would be ideation, writing up the business plans, finding the team and co-founders, finding the mentors. So these are the few points which we would discuss in coming sessions. Say, in the end, I would thank Swadeshi Startup also for extending their support. Swadeshi Startup is a vertical of Swadeshi Jagran Manch, which is in presence across India and promoting Swadeshi concept, or we can say now we can say is Atmanirbhar Bharat. तो वो स्वदेशी आंदोलन भी चलाते हैं जिसमें कि वो सभी से ये आग्रह करते हैं कि हमें ज्यादा से ज्यादा स्वदेशी चीजों का ही इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए। और आप सब जो इंक्यूबेटर्स हैं वो कोशिश यही करते हैं कि जितने भी इंक्यूबेटीज हैं या जो स्टार्टअप्स हैं वो दे वुड come forward and do something for our country, so that we will be proud to have such kind of startups, those who are putting in their efforts in this Atmanirbhar Bharat. So thank you
Sure.
all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yogesh ji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alok.